I'm not big on collecting things. It's more about memories for me. And so I think back to some of the coolest stuff that happened in that building. The day I solo put together the tailgate for the 2017 snow game.
Or one of the many times you and Brittany broke up.
We broke up at the 2011 game, and I, for one afternoon, was on top of the world.
In your blessed words, you're too perfect.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. And here in studio with us tonight, I think maybe one of the only people we know, Chris, who has spent more years in that building than us. Like Mr. Gregg Torlone, Bill's flag holder extraordinaire. I've known you for how long now?
What year would it have been where I saw you drunkenly walking around Good Times South?
First of all, that is the origin story of most of my friendships. They go, hey, me and a friend of mine were totally minding our own business and went out of the woods like Sasquatch. This guy came. He was hammered, and somehow we ended up knowing each other.
Didn't have a job. Don't really know how he had the money to even be in the bar, to be honest with you. But there he was. And if you were having a sports conversation, he was going to be a part of it. That's Drew Gear.
It was very funny. I remember it was the day of my grandmother's funeral. And I had gotten back. Yeah, right. We're going to start.
I don't mean to smile at that, but it's just an odd memory.
It's a hilarious memory. Here's why. I got back from the luncheon that one typically throws. And I remember walking into my apartment and seeing my reflection in like a full length mirror as I was walking into my suit. And I go, I look way too good to stay in like this. I got to go out. And you know where I took that suit and tie? To Good Times South.
Which isn't even a bar anymore. What is it now? Is it Bloomfields, I think?
It's something
right.
that does EDM night, and I will never set foot in that.
It's in Lancaster, New York on Panora.
It's very
Broadway.
It's very funny to see yourself on the border of Depew, Lancaster, in what is the epitome of a corner bar. Like, it is your Cheers. It is your bar where you go and every bartender knows who you are because it's that small. And I decided that dressed to the nines, that's where I needed to be. Yeah. Really class it up. And then 9 double vodka tonics later, you and your brother decided to have a conversation about Jarius Byrd and whether or not we should re-sign him.
See, I didn't remember that. That's impressive that you remember that. So what would this have been? Maybe 2000?
When was Jarius Byrd on the team?
9? When did he get drafted?
Yeah, Chris, give that a goog. In any event, I not only just completely shoehorned myself into your and your brother's conversation, but then became friends with the two of you for the foreseeable future. And it is funny how I have a way of doing that. But from there, what is that? Yeah, it would have been 2000.
He was drafted in 2009.
So probably would have been
2012 or so. Yeah, it is a while ago. Apparently, I was already working at the stadium at this point.
Yep. And so we've known each other for a very long time. And I think
Let's not mention that Greg's the first guest on the show. Episode 15.
Is that right?
You were our first in-studio guest at Drew's old apartment in Depew. Probably where he would walk to Good Times from.
That is exactly where I was.
It was definitely walkable from the apartment. I do remember where the apartment was. Terrace Boulevard, is that right?
That is correct.
Yep.
God. See, we go back. And one of the things that I've always loved about you is that you're someone that I can, because my hot takery knows no bounds, especially at 9 vodka tonics deep. In fact, you know what's funny? Who was the tall female, like D was her name? Just the jacked female bartender. She was big. She was kind of burly.
Is this at Good Time?
Yeah, D, the bartender. She drove me home that night. Because she felt bad for allowing me to overserve myself. She was like, you seemed like you had it together. And then you played Shaken by Eddie Money 3 consecutive times on the jukebox. And I knew I had made a mistake.
That tracks. Yeah. I couldn't tell you the name of the bartender, but that tracks. I'm impressed that you remember as much as you do.
Well, the problem is, because I get them rubbed into my face later. And then they become memories that you're like, all right, well, don't let that happen again.
That's true.
And then you do. But I digress. I feel like from that point, you've always been someone who even a hammered idiot like myself can have a very nuanced sports conversation with.
Right when you meet somebody, you can tell, especially when they're talking about sports, how much they care about it. You know, if somebody is, I guess I don't really have a good example of this, but when somebody starts talking to you about sports, really, I would say within the first 10 seconds, you can tell if they care about it as much as you do. And you definitely gave that impression, which is good. And that's probably why we carried on the conversation. Because have you ever been in a conversation where somebody will just come up and just have the most, you know, basic, totally thoughtless take on sports, and it just angers you? But you're not rude to them because you're like, oh yeah, but you can tell they don't care about it as much as you do. So you're like, I'm not going to give you my time.
Yeah, I'm not putting any. I'm not going to let you energy vampire me. 100%. I'm just going to agree so that you'll go away.
Yep, you hit them with the that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Weird.
Until they go away.
It's funny, I get a lot of those. Usually, though, it's the other side of the coin where I hit people with so much energy. I refer to it as hamster energy, like the energy to just run in a wheel in a circle for 10 minutes. If you approach me with that about most things, social issues, politics, I glaze over and I just can't do it. Sports, I'll get in the barrel with you and we'll have a wild conversation. But I feel like that's also a turnoff to a lot of people when they're like, whoa, this guy cares way too much. He cares way too much about Jarius Bird's contract extension. At what, 10 o'clock at night? 9 o'clock at night on a weeknight?
Yeah, it was definitely a weeknight. It was definitely a weeknight, but I couldn't tell you what time it was.
So with that, Chris was like, I have a guest, and I'm so happy to see you because he was like, I have a guest for tonight. He didn't tell me you were coming. I'm happy that you're here to talk about this week as we get ready to play the Jets, but not just the Jets, because honestly, the content of the game is only, I mean, I think it's a footnote in what this is eventually going to be, which is the final game played in Ralph Wilson Stadium.
But we're wearing red helmets.
Can we talk about the red helmet thing real quick?
I think
does that do anything for you? It doesn't register for me.
It doesn't register for me because they saved it for a game where Mitch Trubisky's going to be the one wearing it.
Yeah, I think fans were largely disappointed when it was announced that it was only going to be the Week 18 game. They kind of wanted it for the whole year, or maybe as a permanent fixture, even in the uniform repertoire. But to me, it doesn't matter. I think people, generally speaking, are super uptight about uniform combinations,
which is weird.
And
what a weird thing to care about.
You like what you like. I get it, but to me, it's just not my cup of tea.
I'll say this: the only other adult man's outfit that I've ever critiqued or criticized is his, and that's just because he's an idiot, and I like seeing his reaction to it. Otherwise, I don't care. Wear whatever you want. People are like, no, this uniform it doesn't matter. Go play in loincloths. It's all the same.
As long as it's not like just totally hideously ugly or something that it just,
but
you got to avert your eyes.
Sometimes that can be kitschy and fun. Like everyone hates the Steelers Killer Bees uniforms, and I get a kick out of them every time I see them.
I didn't like the Steelers wore on Sunday Night Football this year, something against the Packers, and I couldn't even really describe it to you, but I remember at the time I was thinking, that's actually hideous. I don't usually care about uniforms, but
it evoked a response.
I need to avert my eyes.
I like it. I think I like any uniform that has horizontal stripes because there's or the red uniforms for the Bills. It's not an opinion. I just like that it makes the D linemen and offensive linemen look comically fatter than they are. Like it makes all of them look hilariously overweight. And I don't know what it is.
Deion Walker looked extra bigger.
Deion Walker looked
like extra big on Sunday.
And it's just something about same thing with horizontal stripes, like those Killer Bees uniform. Every fat guy out there knows horizontal stripes. It's a no-fly zone. You don't do that. It has the opposite.
I don't think anybody does it really. Period. It just makes you look bigger.
Chris, you're the fashionista in the room. Why don't you tell us why that is?
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever.
Do you own any horizontal stripes?
I don't think so.
So. I guess I think of the red helmets. I sit here and I can tell you I don't care, but I'll tell you what, when they come running down the tunnel with them,
it'll be cool.
And I've had a bunch of beers in me and I'm watching that happen. I'm going to go, God, this feels good. Just feels good. Just the nostalgia. It's nostalgia. And that's a lot of what I've been thinking about this week is just nostalgia. Now, we have very different experiences from being in the building. Every Sunday when I'm there, I sit in the seats and I'm with my friends and I'm hurling expletives and arguing and sometimes wishing terrible things on some of the officiating staff to the chagrin of the people sitting around me who don't know me. And
then Gregg sits in the back of the end zone about to catch a 2-point conversion from Josh Allen.
That was towards my direction. I don't think I could have caught it. Nobody on earth could have caught it.
Nobody. It was so poorly thrown. No one could have caught
It
that.
happens, but nobody was catching that.
So when we talk about this and what it means to be there and for this to be the end of that building, like, I don't know, I've struggled with this. Like, I didn't think I'd care as much. Like, I knew it was going to be a thing, right? It usually is.
Yeah.
Even though it's just a big, dumb building. Like, it's just a big, dumb block of concrete that, I don't know. But it does matter because
There's a lot of what does this mean going on. I don't usually like the question, what does this mean? Like, what do you see after any athlete wins the championship? It's just like right out of the sideline announcer or whatever, the sideline commentator, sideline reporter, I should say, right out of the handbook. What does this mean? And what do they always say? Everything. It means everything.
It means the world.
Yeah, it means, this means the world. Like, I'm over that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the stadium means everything or that the job is the coolest thing I do in my life. I will tell you that. What does it mean to me? I don't. It's the coolest thing about my. I love telling people that I get to do it. I don't mean to say that to sound big-headed or anything like that.
No.
But when people are like, well, "Oh, you work for the Bills?" Yeah. What do you do at the games? So I wave the flag, and they usually light up too. And I feel like I'm lighting up telling them about it just because it's a sense of pride for me. I really genuinely love getting to do it. I DJ weddings for a living. You know this.
Yep, you DJ'd my wedding.
I DJ'd your wedding. That is a cool job. Working for the Bills, literally 10 days a year, 10 to 12 days a year if there's playoff games, is the coolest thing I do in my life. And that Highmark Stadium, that's where it is. That's where it takes place. You know, when this is kind of a point that I like to come back to is, you know, when you're talking about the Sabres or even the Bandits, as successful as the Bandits have been, there's no like, how do I want to word this? When you tell somebody you're going to the game or you ask them, you want to go to the game, you're not talking about the Sabres or the Bandits. Or are you going to the game this weekend? You're talking about the Bills.
That's
the
true.
game in Buffalo is a Bills game. It's not, you know, and maybe in May when there's playoff hockey, hopefully, eventually, before we're dead, that will change. But for, you know, the last 15 years or so, the game, when you're going to the game, you're going to Highmark. And that means something. Maybe everything is not the word, but it means something.
That I love that. And it's that kind of energy that I've just been thinking less and less about the building itself, right? Because let's face it, there's piss troughs. That's cool. How many other things would you say about the stadium? When people are like, we don't need a new stadium. Have you ever traveled, sir? Or are you like Charlie Kelly, who just does not leave the boundaries of Philadelphia? There's a lot of things that this stadium could use. There's a lot of things that other people get to enjoy for their money that we don't. And at the end of the day, all things have to come to an end. It just has to, whether it's a matter of engineering, whether it's a matter of principle, whether it's consumer driven, it doesn't matter. All things have to change and end.
I mean, it's 53 years old.
53 years old. And Chris, fun fact, do you know that the Buffalo Bills have not been the only paying registered tenant of Ralph Wilson Stadium during its lifetime? Do you know who the other team was?
Frontier Falcons, led by Nate Geary.
No, the Syracuse Orangemen back in 1979 while they were building the Carrier Dome had to play part of their season in Buffalo and part of their season in New Jersey. That face he made is exactly what it deserves.
That it just seems that is such a random thing to know that I'm not even going to look it up because I'm sure that it's correct because that's impossible to make up.
I guess this is where I think it's special because it's theirs. Like you were just outlining, when you say the game, you know who it is you're talking about. It's the same thing with the building when you were like, hey, when someone says, hey, are you going to the arena? For what? It could be a concert. It could be a hockey game. It could be a lacrosse game. And none of those are as preeminent.
To piggyback off of that, nobody says, I'm going to KeyBank. I was going to the Effin Center. I was going to Marine Midland. I'm going to HSBC. They just say the arena.
Yep.
But when you're talking about the stadium, it's still the Ralph, right?
Yep. That's what you're talking about.
Still the Ralph. I mean, people still call it that, but like if you say the Ralph, everybody knows where you're going.
Yep. And so with that, like I do get, as I tend to do, I'm a little emotional. I don't know if you know that. A little emotional. I tend to think back to just like some of the coolest things and memories. And I do get I'm not a memorabilia guy. I'm not big on collecting things. It's more about memories for me.
Experiences. Yes.
Experiences. And so I think back to some of the coolest stuff that happened in that building because you think about it, it's a decade plus of your life. And so much happens, but we each have different experiences in that. Like some of mine are wrapped up in like the day I solo put together the tailgate for the 2017 snow game and 40 people showed up because I was the only person with heat and shelter. And my wife telling me I'm crazy for doing it. And I go, honey, you don't get it. You don't know why I have to go, but I have to go. And then sitting there at the end of the game with a woman who was in her late 80s, and she would not leave. She was frail. She looked like she was going to pass away right there in her seat. But she had 5 blankets wrapped around her, and her grandkids are going, Nan, let's go. And she looks at them, and she's like, they could still win, and I'm not leaving. And I'm like, well, now I'm a coward. If I leave, I have to stay. And I got to see the finish of one of the most ridiculous football games that got played in that building.
Or one of the many times you and Brittany broke up.
Actually, there was only one in the stadium. That was a good one. I broke up with a girl the day that the Bills beat the Patriots. And I was on top.
The 2011 game?
2011 game.
See? I knew which one.
You knew because you'd met her. We broke up at the 2011 game, and I, for one afternoon, was on top of the world. There is still a photo that exists if I can find it. After the game, everyone was just so hot. Like, even her friends weren't mad. Like, you'd think, like, oh, you just dumped our friend. We should all hate this guy. But everyone was in such good spirits. We just all went back to the parking lot and partied. And there's a photo of all of us, like, together for a photo. And I don't have a shirt on, and I've got a beer and a cigar that some stranger gave us. And her friend, like, her and one of her friends are giving me the finger. And I looked the happiest I've ever looked in my entire life. I was like, that right there was our relationship in a nutshell.
I honestly, I think I have a similar story about that game. So that day, that was my first year working at the stadium. So I did start in 2011. I was a game day usher in section 222, 221, 222, or 222, 223. I can't exactly remember, but up there in the 200s, opposite side of the rock pile. But I had a group of friends that was at the game. And when I say friends, I use the term loosely. Like, it was like just kind of people people I knew that if I ran into even today, I would say hello to. But it's not like I've seen them really since. But like after the Bills had won the game, I saw them on the way out because I knew where they were parking. Maybe I left something with them because I saw them prior to the game as well. I might have left something there during the tailgate. But they were all there, and I was like, you guys all have to come over. You have to come over to my house. We're just gonna hang out and we're gonna talk about this. And we're gonna watch the Sunday night game. Couldn't even tell you what it was, but that's just the happiness in the moment.
You can't
piggybacking off the happiness.
You're like, I can't let this go.
I don't want today to end.
Yeah, I want to keep this going, and I can tell you that there's also been a lot of low moments. I can remember, like, case in point, I went to the Cowboys game on Monday Night Football. We played the Cowboys, and first of all, both of the friends that I was supposed to go with got thrown out at the gate. They knew my friends were so drunk. They literally scanned their ticket, took it out of their hand, and with smiles on their faces, just pushed them over to security guards who just whisked them away. And I'm laughing going, yeah, that's about right. That needed to happen. So then we go into the game. I'm now babysitting my friend's girlfriend's little brother, who's a mess. And the game is going, and it's just chaos. And then we lose the way that we lose. And I come out, and the joy that we just described, the vibe could not have been more polar opposite. I watched a Cowboys fan get hit, like, nailed. Like, you couldn't have had a better throw in the dark if you tried, with a closed can of beer as he was walking around, like, giving everyone the double middles. And then I saw an SUV full of guys, one of them hanging at the back end with a TO jersey, like waving it like a flag. And they got stopped at the light by crossing guards at the corner of Abbott and what is that, Southwestern there? Sure. And just a bunch of people ran off the sidewalk and just started fighting the whole car. And it's like, this is about one of the worst nights. Everything sucks. I'm not alone. And then I get back to the tailgate spot where my friends have been kicked out. One of my friends has passed out. The other one, not realizing it was my car, they were listening to it with a group of people on the radio. And when the field goal got kicked to win the game, he punched out my taillight. And I was like,
That's
what?
a totally rational reaction.
Well, and then he goes, sorry, I didn't know it was your car. I go, idiot. Now, not only are we driving home with one taillight, which is never mind
Hello,
that.
pull me over.
But I was like, first of all, not only are you doing something like you're damaging other people's property, that's ridiculous. Also, it's my car. You're in the vehicle that you've damaged.
Man.
It was.
I remember how mad people were leaving that stadium. And you know what's funny is I think the Bills were like 1-4 entering the game. It's like they weren't going to the playoffs or anything. Obviously, they were bad. And we were still that upset about it. I mean, that is snatching defeat away from the jaws of victory. That was next level.
And I really do think that that's what I'm going to think about. I'm going to think about all the tailgates. I'm going to think about all the people we've met. I'm going to think about the interactions I've had. But not only that, it's going to be that building. And
it is the building because the people aren't going anywhere.
The highest of highs and the lowest of lows happened inside that building for me. Like, I had some of the worst days. I had some of the best days. And they gave it to me. Oh, and it happened inside that building.
It just made me think of a good story. Do you want to hear the time I almost got fired?
Yes.
As the flag waver. So here's the story. It would have been 2019. The Bills were playing the Baltimore Ravens. They ended up losing the game, I think, like 24-16. See how well I remember that? It's incredible.
I think it was because I think it was a last second just prayer of a pass they had to throw up to John Brown, and he was just smothered by Marcus Peters.
Yeah, I do think they had a play at the end to look at it right there at the end on a 4th down or something.
Yep.
And we wanted a DPI, I think. Anyway, during the game, I don't remember when exactly, but I'm on the sidelines. So some guy comes down to the front row, and during the TV timeouts, I'll talk to the guys in the front row all the time. Very nice guys. This one guy who I don't recognize he has a really thick Canadian accent. I might try to do it here, but I don't mean to really. He's just, hey man, how can I get Lamar Jackson's autograph? And I'm like, I go to an autograph signing. I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, you could, after the game, you could try to be over by the tunnel, but you're not going to get it over here. And he's like, well, I don't live in Baltimore. I live in Saskatchewan. He's like, so, how can I get it before I leave? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Go over and ask him. It's the middle of the game, but a very poor choice of words because I said, go over and ask him. And what he took this as was go over the rail. So he starts climbing onto the field. He makes it not even 3 steps and he gets tackled, obviously, or like shoved up against the wall. And now I have to explain to the police officers what happened, how this guy just totally misinterpreted what I had said because he's telling them that a Bills official, which I am not a Bills official. He's telling them that a Bills official gave him permission. So this guy thinks he's just going to second quarter. I'm just making that up.
Walk over there to the bench.
Walk over there to the bench.
Grab a cup of water. Maybe
hand Lamar Jackson something, and he's going to sign it. And
maybe watch the tablet with him. Give him a few pointers.
Unbelievable. The stupidity of people. And that guy is still out there somewhere.
Voting, driving.
I had to explain that story to at least 3 different people that worked for the Bills. And fortunately, they were very understanding, and they were just like, hey, be more careful next time. And I was like, you don't have to worry about that. I will obviously be more careful next time because that was just ridiculous.
But what's funny? You weren't that careful during the Cincinnati game.
Oh, during the Cincinnati game when I crushed my partner.
Chris, before we even started recording, goes, "Hey, so what about your guy there?" And you can tell the story.
Yeah, so I wave the flag left-handed. And when the Bills score, as the shout song is playing, my partner and I, we run across sidelines. We go sideline to sideline. And we usually just exchange a high five on the way by. But this time it's snowing. It's a little bit more windy. You know how Highmark Stadium gets? Of course you do. You've been there. I don't know. The flag was just tilting, and I don't know what was going on with the weather. But I extended the high five, and the flag just wrapped around my partner's leg, I guess. This is what he told me. I didn't see it because all I heard was the crowd reaction go, ooh. And I turn and look, and he is on the ground looking at me like, what the hell?
What did you do?
And it's already happened at that point. There's nothing you can do but laugh in that situation and just continue running and waving the flag. But I have been asked about it by many people in the days following the Bengals game, for sure.
That's one of the cool things is you being where you are. If I make a mistake, I slip and fall down the stairs. It's happened numerous times. Yeah, nobody notices other than the 50 people around me. If one of you guys, it's impressive that you've made it this far without a major disaster down there.
I have not fallen. Yes, I have not fallen. That's
well,
good.
there's always this weekend.
Yeah, well, I know.
One more?
Trying to make it through Highmark Stadium without falling. The old Highmark.
A nice send off. So I guess as I leave this, this game is going to mean a lot to me personally, just because this was the building. This was the place where it all happened. This was the place where I've been going every weekend, to your point, 8-9 weekends a month. You and I are both there in different capacities. And I don't know. It's hard to think about it being different. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong. I'm ready for.
I can't wait.
Chris, I'm not ready. You know what I'm ready for? I'm ready to be under that awning and not getting rained on like we were this week. Like, I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
You're never going to have to convince me that that's a thing that'll be better for me. The warming stations, the amenities, you're never going to have to sell me on this as someone who's spent over a decade in the building. I just know that I'll probably, once it's been bulldozed and it's nothing but a parking lot for the new stadium, I'll still probably walk over there once in a while. Like, I remember your brother and I had one of the, I think that's the moment I'll probably remember the most.
When Ralph Wilson passed?
When Ralph Wilson passed away, your brother's the one who called me.
Yeah.
And we both had the same energy of we just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know where I should be.
I remember because I was invited, but I worked overnights at the time.
And so we just got beers and cigars and went and sat out in the parking lot and smoked them, and then ended up at O'Neill's, and there was a whole bunch of old timers with all their Bills gear on, and they're telling us stories, and it was just a thing that, like, that moment. And then it was picturesque, right? It was like something out of a movie because it was cold. It was November, and then it just started to like lightly snow while we were sitting out there.
And they left one of the lights on, right?
Yeah.
One of the light fixtures on. Yeah, that was goosebumps for sure.
To be there and see that, like, I'll have that. And even if you take the building, you're never going to be able to take that from me. Like, that place was special, and I'm going to miss it after it's gone. Before it ends, we do have one more football game to play. We're going to do our best to give you the cliff notes on this because it's almost not worth talking about. They saved the most anticlimactic game on our schedule for last. Chris, it almost seems ill-fitting, doesn't it? That you are you one of those people who would want the last game in the building to mean something?
Yeah, it'd be nice if it did, but it's not. I mean, like we talked about earlier, the red helmets is going to be the thing that drives Sunday. People are amped up to see them red helmets.
Yeah, well, you can find them at 4:25 Eastern Standard, the place, Ralph Wilson Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. The weather is apparently going to be reasonable. It looks, so far, we know it's Buffalo and it can change.
Despite what the last 2 days have felt like.
Yeah. 22, light wind, light snow, perfect day for a winter football game. The line is the Bills 9.5, which feels hilarious considering how bad against the spread they are. I think they're 7 and what is it, Chris, now? 7 and 10 against the spread.
Something like that.
It's real bad. On the call, who do you think we're getting?
Oh, confirmed Andrew Catalon.
And Charles Davis.
McCourty.
And Jason McCourty.
The 3-man booth, which is stupid.
Really necessary for Mitch Trubisky and Brady Cook.
Well, that's it. They need all the analysis of this combination of teams they can get.
For sure.
The Bills' backups potentially, and
that's the thing. That's why the spread is so surprising, because we don't really know what the Bills are going to do.
No,
at this point. I'm certain. I'll tell you what. I'm certain that Josh Allen will take the first snap on offense just because of the start streak. It's important to him.
Sure,
but I don't know how long he'll stay in the game, if at all. Because at this point, you'll know what has happened with Houston and Jacksonville, and how obtainable the 5 seed is versus the 6 or the 7.
I'll say that's one of the things. People had a real visceral reaction to hearing that this game got flexed to 4 not flexed, but wasn't scheduled until 4:25 p.m. People had a really viscerally negative reaction to that. But I think if you're in the camp, depending on where you are, of start or sit players, you get to you as a coaching staff get to make a lot of decisions now with a lot of clarity.
You'll have more information.
And so with that, I do think it works to our advantage a little bit. Like if there's any silver lining you can find in it, it's that. That and the fact that the tailgate will be longer. 4180 dock slot on Abbott Road. It's going to be a hell of a time there, Chris. The last one.
Yes.
So you'll at least know I'll have more time to drink before the game, which I'm sure is good for everybody, right? Like everybody around me, I'll have more time to drink and commiserate with people, and I'm sure there will be some misty eyes. The Jets. I have some stats up here in front of you, Greg. If you just want to look at that, it almost seems improbable, doesn't it? Chris, do you know that they're set to make history?
Yeah.
Do you know for what?
It's not good.
Guys, Aaron Glenn, the former Jets defensive back, former defensive play caller, hey, this is going to be the guy to turn this thing around. He is about to cement his place in history. If Mitch Trubisky and Josh Allen can go 4 quarters of football without throwing an interception, he will be the first head coach to run a defense that has never intercepted a pass. How do you have...
Which is just incredible, considering he was a pretty good player for them.
It's impressive how bad you have to be in terms of your... Now, here's a question for you. And this is where I think most things break down for the Jets, because then you see some of these stats on this list, like 0 400-yard receivers.
I believe Garrett Wilson is still their leading receiver, and he has not caught a pass since October. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
It's so again, there's some of these numbers that you can point at coaching, and some of them you can point at talent. Some of them are a marriage of both, because that's every problem in sports, right? Nothing exists in a vacuum, except for some of this. When you show me that you don't have a single wide receiver on your team that has more than 400 yards, there are players who can, in this league, who can eclipse that in maybe a 3-game window. And you mean to tell me you haven't been able to do it in 17 weeks of football? It's almost impressive.
It's pretty unthinkable.
Yeah, it's shocking. 0 Jets quarterbacks have thrown for 10 touchdowns for the 5th time in 6 years.
That I've been sitting here reading that one in particular just to make sure I fully understand it. And I'm trying to think back at like who their quarterbacks have been over the past 6 years. And I'm like, they never got to 10 touchdown passes. It's just, again, unthinkable is probably the best word for it.
0 playoff appearances since 2010. But as we know, as Bills fans, that is possible. We know that that's a thing that can exist. 4 recorded defensive turnovers this season. So that means you got...
That seems high.
That seems high. Like,
I can't think of what they were. Can you? I have no idea. I mean, I haven't watched too much of the Jets, but...
And also, ridiculous Jets stat of the week. The Jets are the first team since 1972 to lose by 23 or more in 4 consecutive games.
Okay, so that's why this spread is 9.5.
So now, Chris, I have a question for you. What are the Jets? Like, you think about this team, they reset, they've got a new GM, they've got a new coach, and yet they might be the worst iteration of the New York Jets that we've seen in years. And some of these statistics you can point to, when I see no interceptions, there's some fans who probably go, well, their defensive backs are terrible. We, as the Buffalo Bills, have had seasons where we go, our defensive backs aren't great. It doesn't matter. You still finish the season with 7 or 8 interceptions. AJ Epinesa has more interceptions than their entire team.
Yep.
It's at a certain point, you can't just point to the players and go, well, when we get better talent, this will change. But how many times can they keep rotating and it's almost like every time they stir the pot and try to find a new iteration of what they want to be and how they want to do it, it gets worse.
I don't even know what I would do. I don't have a recommendation for them. Like,
I've got a bunch, Greg.
Thing you should do if you're Aaron Glenn, because honestly, I don't think they're going to fire him.
No, but
I think he gets another kick at the can because you know why? Solely because he was a pretty good player for them. I said that a minute ago, but like they'll probably keep him just because he has history with the franchise. And that's, I'm not necessarily saying that that's the right approach, but it can't be a desirable position really for anybody outside of the organization anyway.
I don't think he had a grasp on who had bought in. Because you remember when we got McDermott, we were still unloading players during the season. Didn't we fire off
Darius? Yeah, he got. It was like week 5
in the season.
It was like week 5 we traded.
So
him
it's
away.
like he found out like, okay, I thought this guy was bought in and he's not, so we got to get rid of him. I don't think Aaron Glenn had a grasp on who was all bought in, and it failed this year.
I also think that Aaron Glenn as a coach has had a hard time. See, so when you have Brandon, they did the thing, right? Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott come in together. I think it helped that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott knew each other previously, so they were already on the same page. But I also think that spending as much time with Andy Reid, as much as he didn't obviously absorb any of his offensive acumen, but then going from that to Ron Rivera and having guys who, whether you want to make fun of them for their success, Andy Reid without his run with the Chiefs, what would his career be looked at as? Ron Rivera, he got to a Super Bowl. He didn't win it, but he was widely talked about as a good NFL head coach. And McDermott spent enough time with those guys where I'd like to think that he came into how to build a locker room with eyes wide open. These are the types of personalities I'm looking for. This is the type of friction where if I'm feeling it, it has to get dealt with. I don't think Aaron Glenn had that. Like, where was he with the Lions?
He was the defensive coordinator with the Lions, yes.
And so that would have been his coach was a crazy person who was
Meathead, yes.
all gas, no breaks, no
Absolutely.
nuance. I don't want to talk about anything else. And then his team gives the old Tomlin special where they just tear themselves and everyone else around them apart. So by the end of the season, they're so battered to pieces injury-wise, they just can't perform. There was no nuance. It was just, let's go out there and swing a hammer every game. And everyone gets killed. I think that McDermott came in with more nuance as far as how to assess a roster, how to assess who needs to go, who needs to be here. And I think he's like, you saw some of the struggles where he would talk to the media about, well, everybody, if you don't perform, you have to sit. If you're bad, then I can't have you. And then it was almost like, to make his point, he cut a kick returner after the Steelers game that they lost. He muffed 2 kicks that ended up costing them the game. So they cut the guy. Okay, that makes sense. But then also, you can't tolerate that from anyone else. Otherwise, it comes across as ineffective because it's just convenient because you cut the guy who has the least impact on the team.
He's pretty good about preaching, accountability, and he holds, I think, everyone pretty much to the same standard.
Yeah, but then again, it's hard. I think what he found is he wants to do some things.
Yeah.
It's just harder to do that in the NFL than it sounds. If you know your tackle is dogging it, you can't cut him. He's what you got. I mean, you can't do anything about that. If you've got rookies on the team who are on cost-controlled contracts and you want them gone, but the team's like, look, we don't have a way to replace him right now. You're stuck with this guy. He's got to sit there and just fume about that and just try to navigate what he thinks.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron Glenn's approach is certainly different. I mean, that's what I said. I don't know. Like I know they have 2 first-round picks, but what do you do? Fernando Mendoza seems like a fine idea. They're probably not even going to get him. I don't know if they're picking high enough to get him because did the Raiders
got
officially clinch the first overall pick? And Fernando Mendoza might be fine, but he doesn't really seem like the type of guy who is going to drag the Jets or the Raiders out of hell.
No team drafting in the top 5 of a draft is one player away from changing its thing. So what you have to question is, can I draft this guy who won't get me killed now, who can get me to the place where I can build the rest of the roster?
Just prolong my job.
2018, Josh Allen comes in. He's not supposed to be starting. It was supposed to be Nathan Peterman's show.
Lasted 30 minutes.
If Allen doesn't give you some juice, it's a whole different conversation you're talking about when you go into 2019. If Allen comes out and falls on his face and looks awful, you're sitting there going, damn it, do we need to do what the Cardinals are doing? Like, do we need to draft a guy in the first round and then take a guy again the next year because
overall,
we're drafting again? Well, you can't have multiple top 10 picks back-to-back years if you don't have the quarterback position nailed down. And that's where some of these teams are finding themselves. It's why the Jets are constantly in this cycle of not succeeding. The Raiders are constantly in this cycle because they can't find that guy. And, this tweet right here hits it right on the head. How, this guy, Ian Hartitz, is talking about how the 9 meme that's been going around, it's Josh Allen and it's Matt Stafford because they did both dog it this week. But at the same time, this guy, Jets fan, New York Jets Matt's pointing out, it's crazy how Jets quarterbacks have been immune to this meme because the expectations for them were already so low. And he's right. They haven't been able to find the guy. And they did I do believe that the Justin Fields experiment was worthwhile to a point. You signed a guy for a cost control, 2 years, $20 million. He's making $10 million a year. It doesn't really matter. And if you're the team that can figure out how to make him useful, then great. It's found money because you can use those first round picks elsewhere. If he doesn't work out, you're not tied to him long term for a ton of cash, and it doesn't matter.
Extremely low risk, even though the reward probably isn't very high.
And either. Even then, look at these numbers. These numbers from Justin Fields are atrocious. What I love is this one. The between the numbers, if you were to throw a post route down the middle of the field, Chris, he was 1 for 3 on the season. Justin Fields threw 3 post routes deep all season long, no touchdowns, 1 pick, and 25 yards. He had a 25 passer rating. On routes to the outbreaking deep routes, outside left, 2 for 11 for 50 yards. 46 passer rating.
He's got some decent numbers in the middle, 10 to 20. I'm looking at. I mean, there's not a lot of attempts there.
He threw 5 of them.
All right, all of his attempts are within -5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and I don't think that surprised anybody. I think that's exactly what they thought they were getting. I think moving forward, I guess, is that are you going to burn the second year of that contract? Is he going to be there next year? Who is their starting quarterback?
I want you to see this. Look at the quarterbacks who now have passer charts this season. I want you to look at that. The names on this list, Chris, who have taken games and played so they have a passer chart on PFF: Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, Brady Cook, Austin McNamara. Breece Hall has a pass, and so does Isaiah Williams, so they qualify. It's hysterical. And Brady Cook, I don't know that he's... What am I looking at, Greg?
He's super efficient behind the line of scrimmage, I can tell.
So I guess this is where you look at the struggles and I say, here's a team that's just trying to get out of here without setting any of these records, right? These records we're talking about, no 400-yard receivers, no quarterbacks 10 or more. They can't change that one. They can't change this one. They can't make the playoffs. But this interceptions one, you're the defensive coordinator and you're the head coach and you run a unit that has no picks. That's a coaching problem.
Well, they don't have a defensive coordinator anymore.
Well, they don't have a lot of things. And so I just look at this team where I go, it's not just the pieces. That's why it's not worth talking X's and O's about these guys.
The cupboard is so empty.
The cupboard's empty, but also the guys pulling the strings can't figure out a way to tent pole any one facet of it. It's like, hey, we can be a garbage team, but at least our rushing metrics are going to be good. Hey, at least we're going to have a good tight end room. Hey, at least we can have something we walk away from this season to hang our hat on. Mm-hmm. The Jets not only don't have any of that, but they also don't have the number 1 pick in the draft somehow.
Yeah, that's why I said a few minutes ago, I don't know where to begin. I know you have 2 first-round picks, but it's hard to even know. It's hard to have any confidence in that, and that'll go right. I mean, it just hasn't gone right for them over the past couple of years. You've taken Breece Hall, you've taken Garrett Wilson, you've taken Sauce Gardner, you've gotten rid of Sauce Gardner. There's just whatever you put in there, it just doesn't matter. So it's almost like a stigma about the organization itself. And you've watched these guys leave. Sam Darnold, he's extremely successful now. Geno Smith had some success with the Seattle Seahawks. It's long gone now. But, these guys are just walking away from the organization, and it's bettering their careers. It's really,
It's Sabres-esque is what it is.
Whoa, you're just, yeah. I mean, do you want to go down that road right now?
We could do a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I think you could.
Sit here and just trash the Sabres. But again, it's poor management. It's come down to poor leadership, poor management, poor coaching, and then everything else falls right in line behind it.
They've had poor GMs. I mean, Joe Douglas was a bad GM. If you've watched 5 minutes of Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN, it'll just blow you away at how he was the GM of a professional football team. The trade ideas that he comes up with, and it's like to the point where it's like, are you just a parody? Are they just putting you on TV with these crazy ideas because you're a former GM and you're just like, yeah, today I'll say this because it's just terrible. It's just terrible. He was earlier this year is like, oh, the Bills should trade James Cook and 3 firsts for Micah Parsons. It's like, dude, in what world is that?
I bet Jerry Jones looks back and goes, damn it, I wish someone was listening to this guy.
I wish the Bills had Mike Tannenbaum as their GM.
Said
no one ever.
And I guess that's also a piece of this is you look at how the problems you have as a franchise, you're going up against them Sunday. You know that they're listless. They're a rowboat with one oar. Do you bench your starters or no? Because I think a lot of it goes into what we're going to close the show out with, which is a little playoff picture talk ahead of the final game of the season. But I think the way that you want this to go is or what you decide is going to be directly impacted by what happens around you. Like, for instance, Chris, if you want to throw the graphic up there in the show for the people, the Buffalo Bills playoff projections, according to the New York Times, end of season outcomes are pretty well cemented, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's 0% across the board until you get down there to either the 6 or 7 seed. And they have a shot at being the 5 seed, but it's not likely.
And you'll know by the time you kick off
yes.
if you do have a shot at the 5, because Houston will have played, Jacksonville will have played, so you'll know. I mean, you'll have to submit your inactives before that, but I think they have an idea of what they're going to do, and I do think a lot of guys are going to get rest. I'd be shocked if, for instance, Dalton Kincaid played.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Dalton Kincaid. I mean, Chris, who all would you be, like, if you saw them on the field, you'd be surprised? Who's a player?
I mean, probably the tight ends, because they're like the best part of our passing game is Kincaid, Hawes, Knox, if he doesn't have frying pan hands.
He's
Maybe get Hawes a couple of looks. You said Kincaid, and
it seems like I would guess, at least on defense, not to take away from that, Jordan Hancock should be playing safety, right? Just see what you've got there. Max Hairston should be taking all the snaps at corner. I know that you don't want these guys to get injured, Hairston especially.
You have to play the game.
You still have to play the game, exactly. So the linebackers should be Joe Andreessen and Dorian Williams, or some aspect of that. You can honestly, I think you can play. You
could probably get away with that.
You have to play Deion Walker, probably. You have to play TJ Sanders. You probably should play TJ Sanders and Deion Walker. They need all the exposure to the league that they can get.
Yeah.
And they heavily rotation. It's a heavy rotation anyway on the defensive line. But yeah, I would be shocked if like Matt Milano played. Like what is he proving in this instance?
So at the 6th seed, it is interesting when you think about, like, let's say, because even with our starters benched, I'm confident. That's how bad the Jets are, especially with Brady Cook. I am confident that this Bills team with backups can still go out there against a team that has, like I said earlier, lost 4 consecutive games by 23 or more points. You can go out there and play backups in the NFL and at least go toe-to-toe with them. Make it interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's a given.
There's nothing that's a given, but there's nothing that it's a given. It's that I don't think the Jets have enough, and I don't think their coaching staff. I feel like they're ready. Like, this is a team that's just holding its breath trying to get to the finish line.
That's hard to debate.
The Jets are one of those teams that it's like, man, if we can just finish this thing on a high note, like the Bills did in 2018 when we were like, hey, we've already been eliminated from playoff contention, but let's roll the Dolphins at home. Let's go out there and absolutely roll these guys. Mm-hmm. And we can walk out of here with our heads held high going, look, we finished the season on a little bit of a hot streak there. It was fun. We've got some nice stuff coming down the pipeline.
I do think Kyle Williams' last game had a little bit to do with that as well.
That's true, too. But, well, actually, I think that was the cheap shot.
Your point is taken. Your point is taken. I mean, the Bills' backups lost to Joe Milton last year, last year.
Yep.
I mean, so
Joe Milton, that whole thing is wild because I don't know how he's not starting for the Jets.
Maybe he will. Who's their starting quarterback next year? That's a great discussion. Who is their starting quarterback?
Joe Milton probably should be playing us again on Sunday. If the that's what the league is just so stupid that you end up with a team like this. So we're probably locked into the 6th seed. That's probably where this falls. And I guess the question is, since we don't know, the top of the deck is still waiting to be shuffled in terms of 1st seed, 2nd seed, 3rd seed. The only one who's locked is the winner of the AFC North. So with that, who do you think we match up against best?
Who do we match up against?
Who would you like, or not even match up?
To
just
play?
who would you prefer to play? Who in your heart of hearts do you think deep down you go, hey, this is how I'd like my weekend to fall, because I think that if there was a chance for the Bills to get out of the wild card round, it's this team. Because it used to be 5 playing the Steelers, but that's off the table now.
I think if you're asking me that question, the Steelers is the answer to that question. But again, we'll know I've said it twice already. We'll know by the time the game kicks off if the 5 is even attainable. Mm-hmm. So if Houston and Jacksonville win, which I assume that they will, just because of, Jacksonville's playing Tennessee at home, Houston is playing Indy at home, Riley Leonard is starting the game. They both will probably play their starters, I assume, because Houston is playing for, they're playing for the division. Division is still up for grabs. It would be interesting to me if Houston was like, let's just play Davis Mills, because they have a shot at the division. They're in the same position the Bills would be in had Josh Allen connected on the 2-point conversion. Yep. To Khalil Shakir. What do we want to do? Do we think Quinn Ewers can actually beat New England? Maybe, so that's the situation they're in. I'm assuming Houston is going to win. That's maybe a poor assumption, but they're like 10 or 12-point favorites, so I'm just going to assume they win, and I'm actually going to assume that the Chargers lose because Denver is still playing for the 1 seed. Mm-hmm. So Denver will certainly play their starters because they want the bye week over the Patriots. And
well, didn't I see Justin Herbert's not going to play?
And it looks like it's going to be Trey Lance, exactly, for the Chargers. So I'm just going to assume Denver's won. If you assume that Denver and Houston win, and that the Chargers lose, basically where you get to is the Bills are the 6 with a win and the 7 with a loss. So that means, would you rather play the Patriots or the Jaguars? And you've beaten the Patriots. You probably should have beaten the Patriots twice, dare I say. I think that the first Patriot game is the one I look back on this year, and I'm like, man, they should have had that one. Just because of the Coleman fumble inside their own 20-yard line led to 3 points. Allen was intercepted in the red zone that took away at least, an opportunity at 3 points, and they lost by 3 points. Yeah. In the last, 30 seconds of the game. Diggs was unconscious. I'm willing to acknowledge that. Now we don't know if he's even going to be available for the game next week. But that is an entirely different story.
You made a point earlier that made me laugh my ass off. How you were like, "Hey, this happened." It's funny. I haven't heard a single person who goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm shocked." Really, that guy?
Yeah, he's emotional and impulsive, right? That's how he always played the game, and apparently that might be how he lives his life. Again, I don't know.
These are all alleged people.
It is alleged. I don't know, but I think they're in a tough spot with him.
I was going to say he might lawyer up and come after us, Chris, but I think he's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to detract from your original question. I'm just going to say, I'd like to play Jacksonville. Give me Jacksonville. And I know that might be a semi-hot take. Jacksonville's been pretty good. They're like ninth on offense, ninth on defense. They're really hot. Trevor Lawrence looks like he has it figured out. Liam Cohen's been a nice Coach of the Year candidate, if not for Mike Vrabel, probably. I think Vrabel will probably win it, but Cohen is deserving. They're very good against the run. That's what the Bills do effectively. So there's reasons to not like the matchup with Jacksonville. Also, we've been to Jacksonville a few times over the past couple, 8 years or so, or 5 years.
Not go well.
And it's gone so poorly.
Not even like not gone well.
There's reasons to hate it, but I think there's reasons to not be confident in the Jaguars as well. And the reason is just I've watched a few of their games, and until I watched the Denver game, was that a week or two ago? That was the first time I was like, wow, these guys are actually kind of impressive, because I had watched them play like the Rams, and granted the Rams are, cream of the crop to some people. And they just constantly look bewildered. The Jags, I mean, they take bad penalties. They drop passes. They turn the ball over. And I'm thinking, how are these guys? They're 11-4. They're 12-4 now.
Something I was arguing with a friend of mine. The precipitous decline from MVP to where Josh Allen is right now you could say like one of the, because everyone was like, he's the only player. It's the farthest drop from Grayson I've ever seen. And I was like, I don't know. What about Brian Thomas Jr.? Brian Thomas Jr. was in those offensive rookie of the year conversations, and now he's like being benched.
Anybody who picked him in the second round, maybe of their fantasy football league, was
Probably
severely underwhelmed. Right?
Yeah.
He was not a championship player, unless you have him in some sort of dynasty league where you have a bunch of guys. But yeah, if you're in a redraft league, Brian Thomas probably isn't on your championship roster.
Chris, what do you got? Who do you like?
I mean, I'd probably go the other way, New England, because we're going to New England. We've beaten New England in New England. I've seen it with my eyes. With Jacksonville, to me, Jacksonville, they should have been dead in the water after that Houston game. You don't rip off all those wins in a row after that Houston game with a first-year head coach.
And they almost lost.
Should buckle.
I don't know if it was the week before or the week after. They almost lost to the Raiders. The Raiders took them to overtime and were a 2-point conversion away from beating them.
Yeah, lately we haven't been that good against Jacksonville. We lost 10-3 to them in the playoffs, and we're one of Urban Meyer's 2 NFL wins.
Oh, you don't got to get me started. That is, to me, that is the bottom. That is the worst loss of
I was going back and forth between
Jacksonville
Jacksonville and New England, and hearing that statistic, I want nothing to do with this. Give me New England. I don't care. It seems like a mountain to climb, and I don't care. I'm there for it. They've got enough things. Did you see the statistic that the Giants and the what is it? They were like 2 and whatever. They have the same record against teams with winning record as the New York Giants.
Yeah, I saw the Giants. I believe the Raider win this past week probably affected it, but before that, the Giants had the best strength of victory in the entire NFL. Granted, they only had 2 wins, but they beat the Eagles, and I don't even remember who the other team was.
I think the stat was the Patriots and Giants have the same amount of wins against teams that are above 500
with winning records.
Yeah.
That tracks. That is a knock against the Patriots for sure. And don't get me wrong, after they're on their hat and t-shirt run right now, I would love to just go in there next weekend and just be like, well, that was fun, wasn't it? Congrats on the division title.
It would make me very happy.
And I just wonder what they think. What do you think they think? What do Patriots fans want the Bills? Do Jaguars fans want the Bills?
That's a good question. In fact, you brought this up a little bit earlier. It's a good thing to talk about. Who's the one team, Chris, that probably looks at Buffalo and goes, fuck, give me anybody but those guys?
Probably Denver.
Is there a team out there that's looking at the Bills going, man, I hopefully the Bills can rest their guys and fall to that 7 seed so I don't have to deal with them?
I think Denver would give Denver a problem. I don't want to see Houston at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans feel that way.
Houston's defense, and then you see their offense for a quarter against the Chargers, and then they end up kicking 2 field goals over the next 45 minutes of football?
Yeah.
And it's all right, so you had some nice things, and some things went your way, and the Chargers, your defense is just so good, it smothered the Chargers, and that was enough? Is that enough against other playoff teams in that kind of environment? I don't know. Is it enough to score 14 points and then go to sleep on offense for 2 quarters? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it comes back to the quarterback point really overall. I know that as much as Houston's legit, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
You want freaks on the field, and they have 2 of them at each defensive end position, and they even have one at corner. I think Derek Stingley's a freak as well. So that's an intimidating matchup, especially on the road. We've had some bad luck there over the years as well. Regular season and playoffs, to be honest with you. And those guys weren't even on the team the whole time. But,
at this point, you're going to have to play somebody. Right. I love talking about this
because play somebody, exactly.
Because your point, who fears us? I would think it would probably be New England. New England would probably be like, hey, remember that time when we could have won the division and we had them? It's like in wrestling. I know you're a wrestling fan.
Sure.
So it's one of those things you could have pinned the guy and he got out and you're like, uh-oh. And then a few minutes later in a match, you go to pin him again and it just doesn't quite land and he slips the 3 count and you're like, what do I have to do? And then the fear is between now and the next opportunity I get to pin him, is he going to steel chair me? Is this going to happen? And am I going to end up on the shit end of the stick? I feel like
it's like Barry Horowitz against Chris
But
Candido.
who's the best wrestler? Who's the best wrestler in the playoffs? It's Josh Allen, right?
Well, and that's why it's like, do you want to have to? Because what happens if he comes out with this ragtag group of wide receivers and a really good running back who turned your defense inside out the last time you two played, and they do it again? Now all of that rah Drake Mays here, and then all of the minimization that happened after that game. Hey, the defense, but we were missing this guy, and this didn't go our way, and everything's. I mean, I did soak up all the angst from WEEI the next day, but it all kind of evaporated pretty quickly because then they went on. They now own the division. Everybody's happy again, and all those warts have been forgotten about. We didn't rattle off the comeback we rattled off within a vacuum. That didn't come from nowhere. It was the same way we talk about how bad the Jets are. This was a culmination of things. It was coaches making decisions that didn't counter with the talent that they had on the football field. It was us being able to match up with them in ways that they can't, like they didn't have a counter for that. They went to the tight ends and just said, hey, go wail on those linebackers. Yep. Just go get them. We're not even going to challenge them on the outside. We tried that the first time around and it blew up in our faces. Never mind. We'll get you somewhere else, and you do damage. I think we match up the best with them from an X's and O's standpoint. So then it's especially if something were to materialize of the Stephon Diggs thing. How much of a distraction does that become? Does it? I don't know. There's just a lot more questions with them than I think anybody else in the field above us.
Yeah, it's funny because it's funny to say that because they have not the runaway, but like the MVP favorite right now. And
Sure.
We're like, yeah, bring them on.
MVP versus MVP. It's going to be a primetime standalone. Like they're going to give it. Chris, that would be the game. If it's Bills Patriots, does that get the Saturday night?
Probably.
Because they'll probably give a Sunday night game to a West Coast team. It'll probably be an NFC team.
If it's like Rams Eagles, I think that would be screams Sunday night.
I could see that being a Sunday night because there will be games with more juice. But
NFC
I think you
will
can
also get a 4:30 Sunday game. Would be NFC.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how it works necessarily. I do know that the Monday nighter is always a 4-5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually it's Saturday early is a matchup nobody wants to see, and also that's also Monday night. But then Sunday 4:00 is usually NFC game. 1:00 Sunday is AFC. So if we finish out 7 and it's Bills Patriots, that could easily be Saturday night fever right there.
MVP on MVP.
What would you watch? Would you watch that game or would you watch Collision?
I don't watch the minor leagues.
So it's all going to come out in the wash this Sunday. It'll be interesting to see. I just know that I probably won't be paying attention to a lot of it because I'm going to be in my feelings a little bit. I know that.
Yeah, circling back to the stadium point,
Yep.
really, that's what it's about.
I'm going to be in my feelings on Sunday. It's going to be tough, and I'm sure you will probably get hit with some of that too.
I'm gonna be taking it all in. I legitimately, I know I work there. I legitimately don't know if they're going to let me back in that building ever again.
So this may be for both of us our last time in the building.
So do you want maybe the 5 or the 6 seed? Just to keep that glimmer of hope alive. You want, if you're the 6 and the Chargers are the 7, you think the Chargers could beat the Patriots? Maybe.
I don't know.
I bet they could beat the Broncos if they have all their guys. So you could get there.
We can hope, but I'm not going to wish.
Yeah,
I'm going to prepare myself emotionally and mentally for this to be the last time I spend time in this building.
That's probably the right course of action. But can you imagine if the AFC Championship happened to be there? I feel like that. I come back to the point.
That's when you bring out the red helmets.
Yeah,
Damn it.
It's like the fact that the Bills were 4-0 and the rest of the division was at the time was like 1-8 or something. I don't even remember what it was, but it's and the way the season has gone for Baltimore and Kansas City, and like that's been the exclusive club over the years. This is Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. That's the exclusive club, and now the Broncos and the Patriots are playing for the 1 seed. When we started the season 4-0, I'm kind of lamenting that, I guess.
To a degree, and we could have a whole other conversation. I know we got to go, but we could do a whole other conversation about, is this in a vacuum? Like, oh my God, this is one crazy year and that's why it's the Bills window. Or is this the start of something else? Was this the churn? And now the conference is going to look a little different, and it's going to take some of these, blue blood teams that have been in the postseason for the last decade, we'll call it, that have just been floating around the NFL postseason, chasing championships. There's going to be turnover in that, mostly because the teams that needed to injected acumen in different places of their leadership. So you have offensive-minded coaches like Lee and Cohen ending up with a quarterback that everyone was ready to write off as one of the biggest busts of a second quarterback contract of that cycle, and now they look like a machine. And Vrabel bringing back seriousness to an organization that has a long-standing history of winning championships and has that pedigree. Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Bo Nix has regressed, and they're still the 1 seed. What would that look like if he got back to form in the playoffs? Hopefully it doesn't signal a changing of the guard.
Yeah, I think with guys like Bo Nix, I don't mean to be the guy who's like, well, you can't do it because I've never seen you do it. I don't like when people make that point. Bo Nix has no playoff wins. He only has the 1 appearance. Obviously, it was last year in Buffalo. But I'm sorry, I have to see you do it on the big stage.
Yep.
Before I'm a believer in you specifically, because I watch your regular season games and I don't think you're like a guy. I think you're middle of the pack. You're fine. What you need is, if you're Bo Nix, and there's tons of guys like this across the league, you need an extremely ideal set of circumstances to win 3 or 4 games in the playoffs. And it can be done, but it would surprise me. So I don't fear Denver. I don't fear anybody, because I think we have the best. You could talk about the Rams or whatever. That's a good problem to have. The Rams or the Seahawks or the Niners, whoever. If I have to think about the Rams, the Seahawks, the Niners, or the Eagles again, good things have happened.
Yeah.
We are in the Super Bowl. So I welcome that. But I'm rocking with Josh, man. We have Josh Allen. He's the defending MVP until he's not. And I think he has a switch. He has like a, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. And somebody's going to be like, oh, Michael Jordan had 6 rings, I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. But like, you can just flip the switch and you are unstoppable for a certain amount of time. And I look forward to it. I think that's what we're going to get. I'm
looking forward to seeing it this time. And everybody who's coming out, just, again, Greg, when you're down there in the field, just take that, try to take it all in empty. Try to go out there and just see what it is empty first, just to get a taste of it. Because that has been being on the sidelines and being able to look up, for me, was eye-opening. Like, oh, that's where I would be sitting. This is where this would be happening, but there's nobody here. Mm-hmm. It's empty. And then the dichotomy of that versus what it is when it's raucous and it's packed and everybody's in there. I don't know. That's an interesting point. I do get there at about 4.5 hours before the game starts. So I'll be there by noon on Sunday, and nobody will be out there. There might be a few people out there, but there's gonna be nobody in the stands. I might just have to go take it in. You won't regret it. I can say that. I'm in total agreement. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Very much. Like I said, I'll be thinking about the time, like Chris, when they go to tear that thing down, I'll be thinking about the time I got yelled at by Russ Brandon.
Yes.
There's going to be all kinds of things and memories that disappear with that building. Are you getting anything from it? You buying your seats or anything? I don't know. We actually have a podcast interview request that came from a company. It's the guy whose company's leading hey, we're going to strip the place down and sell memorabilia, but on a licensed basis through the team. And I think he's making the media rounds. So I think we're going to dabble in that a little bit, pick his brain. I look forward to hearing more about that. Maybe see if I can get a hunk of this thing without having to just bring the Ryobi in and steal it myself. Because that piss trough would look real good out behind Mark's barn. If we can find a way to get That's where you should wrap the show up right now. That's exactly where you should end. Guys, this has been fun, but we got to get out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. That's Gregg Torlone. And this has been your Rockpile Report.